Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Wrestling Inc. Daily. It is me, your managing editor of WrestlingInc.com, Nick Hausman, joined here as I am now every Wednesday by my very good friend all the way from Hollywood. It's Brian Wohl. Brian, welcome to the Wrestling Inc. Daily. Anything you'd like to say about China, Taiwan? Anything?
Gosh, I'm not on anyone's payroll, so I think Taiwan is rad.
Good. I agree. I also agree that Taiwan is rad. Anyway, we'll get into it. We have that to talk about, and man, what a 24 hours of pro wrestling news it has been. We like to talk the business of the business here, and that is certainly what we're going to do here for the next 30, 45 minutes. If you want to join the conversation, we are live over on YouTube and all the other social media platforms. Share the link out. Encourage other fans to watch. You can also leave comments in the comment section wherever you're watching. We'll pull from the Mecha thread. We'll put some comments up here on the screen. And if you like what you're hearing, or if you love what you're hearing, or if you hate what you're hearing, you can give us a little thumbs up or the heart eyes or whatever emojis. Obviously, there's some big commentary news we're going to get to here today. Serendipitously, Brian, I happened to interview former WWE SmackDown commentator, a friend of mine from Warrior Wrestling, Rich Bikini, a.k.a. Rich Brennan, like 2 days ago. Or yesterday, or whatever it was. Time is irrelevant anymore. And Rich decided to really, like, of his own volition, open up about Adnan Virk and the struggles this guy has been going through and everything. And a couple hours after we recorded, of course, which we'll get to here in just a moment, Adnan Virk no longer with the company. So if you want to hear somebody that's been in the foxhole, knows what it's like to be in that position, not be fully prepared for that position, you want to hear about what it's like for WWE, how they train their commentators, it's a great interview for you. It'll be here later on if you're in the audio version of the show after the news, and we're going to premiere it here at 1 p.m. Eastern over on the Wrestling Inc. YouTube channel. So less than an hour now. If you're watching this live, you can go watch me, Rich Bikini, jump in the chat room. I'm going to be watching this one live with everybody, so I'll chat along with you as this is going on. And then at the end of the show, we'll dive in the mailbag. We'll talk about Mark Henry. All right, news you can use, news to leave a bruise. Let's start with it. Adnan Virk. WWE released the following yesterday, or released a message yesterday saying they mutually parted ways with him. Then Adnan Virk released the following on Twitter. Thanks to WWE for a wonderful opportunity. The weekly travel along with other jobs was a grind for me and my family. I'm grateful to everyone with the company, especially Corey Graves and Byron Saxton, for being such fantastic teammates. Virk replaced Tom Phillips as the lead Raw announcer last month, making his debut on the post-WrestleMania 37 edition of Raw. That change also saw Graves replace Samoa Joe, who has been released. So we don't even have Samoa Joe on the bench right now during all this commentary turnover. PW Insider is saying WWE officials have made a decision on Virk's replacement for this coming Raw, but it's being kept very close to the vest so far. A lot of speculation on former UFC and American Ninja Warrior announcer Jimmy Smith joining the Red Brand announce team, as he's been putting in a lot of work to prepare for future WWE broadcast assignments as of late. Smith has done some NXT work over the last several weeks. I have another funny Adnan Virk bit that we'll get to here in just a second, but we'll put a pin in it for the moment. What's your reaction to the parting of the ways here and kind of anything that I just got into about his release?
Just deep disappointment, really. We've had, 15 different Raw commentators in the last 3-4 years.
Dude.
It's so hard to get invested into a show when we're still learning the voice of the show. We don't even know what Raw is anymore. I don't even think WWE knows what Raw is anymore. And it's just so sad. Adnan Virk, clearly a very talented broadcaster. Sure. He's moved his family to do this job. He's been in there for just a month, and now you got to move back. How is WWE going to attract top-tier talent when they have to think about the possibility of moving their kids, moving their wife to a new town, and then saying, "Oh, sorry, honey. Sorry, kids. Sorry, I left you. I took you away from all your friends and everyone that you know, and now it's over. Now it's all over, and we got to go back." It just doesn't. You're not going to get the best people anymore. WWE needs to set a good. I think it was Poya Del Mar said this yesterday on Twitter, and it was, great management sets their talent up for success. And I don't think Adnan Virk was set up for success in this situation.
No, I agree with that too. And I don't want to get too far off into the weeds because I'm going to have this conversation with Rich later. But there definitely needs to be the training issue, the preparation issue for commentators for these main roster roles. There's got to be a better process for these people because, with wrestlers, the indies produce great wrestlers. They get attention. Maybe they're not refined or perfect for TV, but there's characters there and there's a drive and there's other wrestlers you can learn from. That pipeline does not exist for commentators. Like you look back at WCW and WWF, even with their height, you had guys coming in from World Class or guys coming in from the former NWA or, wherever it may be. You had pipelines of these different territories that were creating commentators that these organizations could pull from or pull, from their competition even sometimes. Now there's just no pipeline anymore. I mean, you're literally just taking legitimate sports announcers and hoping they work. And I mean, all the best to Jimmy if this is the truth. But I read UFC American Ninja Warrior announcer, and I immediately said, same deal, right? It is a horse of a different color. This smells like a similar kind of setup here. And the issue of the pipeline, the training, the preparation for these commentators really needs to be addressed. It's a weak spot for them.
And Pat McAfee is the exception than the rule. Pat is so good at his job. And yes, he did come in from outside, but you can't just pick a Pat McAfee out of nowhere. That's not how this works.
But Pat McAfee has been studying the business and in training in the business for a lot longer than I think people would imagine, and I mean, had the wherewithal to go in and tell a story, I think he's only ever had the one match in NXT that blew everybody's mind. He didn't have a follow-up.
Such a great match.
Yeah, so the guy knows how to wrestle and he understands the psychology of wrestling. He also has FU money, right? He has so much money, he's got so much clout. If somebody gets in the headphones with Pat McAfee and they scream at him, he's just gonna leave. And they don't want that. So McAfee is going to get treated very differently than an Adnan Virk, somebody else that's coming in looking for a new kind of career opportunity. I guess that's kind of a nice way to say it. Anyway.
So have they called you?
I have not gotten the call. Just.
I mean, you do a great job for Warrior Wrestling, buddy.
Hey, you know what? I haven't gotten the call, unfortunately. Maybe a little bit more seasoning, but. Hey, like I say, there are people out there on the indies right now trying to get better at this, and I don't see them pulling from the independents or pulling from other promotions for these roles. I mean, it's just weird to me. It's just a glaring difference in the way they treat the wrestlers.
Yeah, and for such a key position too. And when you think about Raw, it's so hard to think about it without the voice of Jim Ross. And so now we're trying to think of who is the voice of Raw now. What is Raw? It's just lost.
Well, I have one more Adnan Virk comment here. So if you have any thoughts on Adnan, jump in the comment section, let him up while I read this last item here. So adult entertainment website Cam Soda has offered an MMA play-by-play job to Adnan. While Virk remains employed in other venues, including the Major League Baseball Network and the NHL Network, Cam Soda has offered him $50,000 to do play-by-play for their upcoming Fight Circus MMA pay-per-view show in Thailand on Saturday, June 19th. The Wild MMA Fight Circus Volume 3, that means there's two others of these, is going to feature a Siamese boxing match with tied together two-man teams, Indian leg wrestling between female Russian fighters, a Muay Thai fight inside of a phone booth, a human cockfighting bout with karate versus taekwondo, an intergender Muay Thai fight, which actually seems rather tame at this point, plus a two-on-one main event with former UFC fighter Will Chop taking on local fighters Bank and No Money. The legendary Bob Sapp is also going to be in the house leading the Team Blue fighters against John Nutt and the Team Red fighters. Wow, that is a real thing.
It sounds like a heck of a card. Virk said that he was concerned about the travel, so he may not be able to make it to Thailand for this one. But you never know.
Siamese. What is a human cockfighting bout? That's the one I think I'm most intrigued by.
It sounds like Jim Cornette's description of an AEW show.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. And you know what? A Muay Thai fight inside of a phone booth, I'm actually really intrigued by. Like, I don't want to say I'm going out of my way to find Cam Soda's MMA Fight Circus Volume 3, but, you know, Liz is going out of town here. I've got some time to kill, maybe. We'll see what happens.
I think the most exciting thing out of all this news is that Cam Soda is offering a fair wage.
That's true. 50 grand. That's good money.
That's
Jeff,
pretty good.
and Jeff Holtke here saying that is a lot to dissect. And it really is, Jeff. It's a lot to dissect.
Imagine Adnan Virk pitching that to his wife.
Actually, Braddock here jumped in and he said, "Hey, Nick and Brian, do you think Scott Stanford is going to be commentary on Raw Leader?" I don't know, but I like Scott Stanford.
Yeah. Scott Stanford's so great. I love him on all the WWE.com stuff. Anything using Scott Stanford makes me happy.
I'm all about Scott Stanford. If he wants to be the nice man who sits there and does play-by-play while Corey Graves cracks jokes as him, I think that's a fine dynamic. I would be willing to give that a chance. You know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Man, I'm so excited for this Rich Bikini interview. I loved him as the voice of NXT.
Yeah, Rich is awesome. Like, and we can maybe talk a little bit more about Rich before we get to the mailbag stuff, because again, I don't want to give away the whole interview, but what a story that guy has to tell. So it'll be here just a little bit. PWInsider.com. Now, this is where things really start to pick up here. We talked about Adnan. He's the biggest name. But PW Insider, the first report, there were a ton of firings yesterday at the headquarters. They also reported that the headquarters firings were made because a number of divisions are reportedly set to be folded together and overseen directly by longtime WWE employee Kevin Dunn, who is the executive vice president of TV production. One of the reasons for so many cuts is that WWE has determined that there were too many redundancies across multiple departments over the last year. One example is that there were 2 graphics departments, one for TV production and one for digital. Those are departments that I guess can easily be merged into one, meaning WWE can get the work done with a smaller group of employees. Pause. That sounds nerve-wracking as hell. Right? Like, I'm just thinking if I'm a multi-billion-dollar company, like I'd want somebody doing graphics for my TV and somebody doing graphics for my website. I don't know that I want to stress that team out by doing both things, Brian, but I could be crazy. Could be wrong.
You don't want any redundancies, you know?
Whatever.
They got to save that money up for something.
It was also said that the departures are a ripple effect of the company running under the COVID-19 pandemic and seeing that they can get by with a much smaller number of employees across the board. A source noted that throughout WWE history, they have shown that they can, quote, cut to the bone if needed, still get things done. This is the latest example of that. Man, that is some good old boy. That is some good old boy talk. Cut to the bone.
I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of puns in this PWI post, Pro Wrestling Insider post, because you're looking at headlines about Kevin Dunn with shock, shake, ripple, and cut. This is all Kevin Dunn's, best work here.
Wow, dude, that was good. I was wondering where you were going with it, but then when the screen started moving around, I was like, that was good. That was really nice.
God, you got to show that action.
Hey, look, well, there were also a lot of shell-shocked employees at WWE, including those who were cut and those who survived the departures. It sounds, did you ever see that, what was that? It was like Belco Studio. It was like it was like Belco. I remember the Belco project or whatever, this office building, and it gets locked up one night and they all have to fight to the death. One man survives, kind of a battle royal type. This is what it sounds like, some Hunger Games stuff, that like those who survived are shell-shocked by the experience. It's awful.
Can't wait to send them my LinkedIn.
The ones who remain with the company realize that they will have more responsibilities to deal with. It was also noted that the WWE Advanced Media Group was all but destroyed, which has left a lot of people heartbroken as they work to build up that division. The end of the Advanced Media Group as it existed has been taken really hard by the people who work there, as these changes came out of nowhere for the people in those divisions, especially since this was a department that grew greatly in importance and revenue for WWE over the course of the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm still not entirely positive what the advanced media group is. Like,
I would assume it's the team behind Up, Up, Down, Down. A lot of the video content, online content, social media content, just all of basically our favorite content creators for online stuff, and then also those cool playlists on the network.
Sure.
Gosh, some really great minds were lost. Were let go.
Yes. The WWE digital department, which would include the WWE network, has been extremely hit hard with JLR Donlin among those who were let go. Donlin recently worked as the EVP of WWE's Advanced Media Group. He had been with the company for more than 8 years. He was recently recognized as a finalist for the Digital Executive of the Year 2021 Synopsis Sports Media Awards. What is that? You got excited there. What did you want to say about that?
Well, I mean, he's a finalist for the Digital Executive of the Year, and now he's looking for a job. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, and another confirmed departure was Brian Pelagato, who worked as the Senior Vice President of Production. Pelagato had been with WWE for just under 9 years after working with ESPN, worked his way up through WWE, took the SVP of Production title in March 2019. WWE also cut a number of international office employees and WWE Studios employees. There was also something described as, quote, gallows humor going around among some of the employees who were let go today, pointing out that in just the last week, WWE had sent an internal email offering bonuses for employee referrals, and now perhaps they should just refer themselves to get their jobs back and get the bonus in the process, which says to me, like, it kind of sounds like, I mean, was this planned? Was this something that they decided to do kind of last minute? Like, that's really weird, even by corporate standards, to send out something like that and then release the number of people they did.
It's super weird. And
yeah,
this is not good. This is not making WWE look like an attractive destination for top talent, content creators. You look at Xavier Woods tweeted about Brian Pelagato getting fired yesterday, saying that his mic skills wouldn't have been nearly as great without Brian. He wouldn't have had a creative space to build chemistry with Big E and Kofi. He wouldn't have been able to create Up, Up, Down, Down. He said, I wouldn't have the life I have now. You know?
Yeah.
Which is a great endorsement of Brian, though. So somebody hire him.
Well, and I've seen so many of those tweets coming out. Charlie Caruso put out a nice one, a really heartfelt about how all the great digital minds behind the scenes have done so much to grow the company. And I have a longer thought on this that I'll get to here in just a moment, but I want to get in the last of these notes here before I kind of kick it into the whole broader picture conversation. Deadline reporting, the WWE Studios cuts were deep. They were described as a bloodbath. Nick Khan, the WWE President Chief Revenue Officer, he broke the news of the departures by phone yesterday. It was noted that Khan, in another show of his growing power, will personally be overseeing the international offices in order to keep them in closer alignment with the WWE headquarters here in the United States. It was noted before that at least 35 people were let go, but with that number increasing by a lot with the WWE Studios and international departures being factored in. WrestleNomics also reporting the following releases. Jay Rosenstock also let go after working as an EVP of International. He'd been with WWE since 2019. McCallum Nolan, VP of Media Operations, had been with WWE since April 2019. WWE employee James Wortman, he had been with the company since May 2010, most recently working as a content director. WWE has a meeting scheduled for all employees today. It is likely that the layoffs are going to be addressed then. WWE's TV department, the Advanced Media Group, those are merging. That's said to be the end result of a struggle between the two departments. TV has been led by Dunn, while Donlin led the Advanced Media Group. And, of course, Dunn is there. Donlin is not. Also, with the massive WWE Studios departures, are they giving up on the movie game? It kind of seems like it. They hadn't really been trying that hard in recent years, to be fair.
I don't know. Fighting with My Family was really great, and they do have this big Netflix deal with Vince McMahon's documentary.
But wait,
series.
wasn't Fighting with My Family in conjunction with $7 production? Like that wasn't fully on them. Total Divas and Total Bellas, those are not fully on them.
No.
They have reality production companies they work with. So like it seems more like that for the big stuff they've been doing, they partner. Like the last thing they did like independently was like the Marine 5 or whatever, where they killed off Miz, spoiler alert.
Yeah. But the WWE studios did turn out some fun movies. I really enjoyed See No Evil. There's some good stuff out there. It's hard to make a good movie. It's really hard.
I'm not saying it. I'm just saying like this would indicate to me that WWE not fully engaged with the movie game. I don't think we're going to see more of the Leprechaun franchises. I
don't know. It's weird because also if they're taking over talent's Twitch accounts and taking over these other forms of generating content, but also consolidating their production offices, it's hard to understand how or what the future of WWE content creation is going to be.
I will say this. I have heard as of this morning from at least one source that there is the belief that this may not be done. There might be more today. I've heard at least maybe one more commentator name floated about, but I don't know that this is the end of the road as far as this story goes. So stay tuned for that today. I will also say this. I've been talking for some time now with Brandon Thurston and Alfred Cunningham from Forbes. It does seem to me like WWE could be positioning itself for a sale. Like a big money buyout sale, $11 billion to NBC Universal. Something along those lines doesn't seem out of the realm of possibility for me. These kinds of moves traditionally happen before some kind of buyout like that, where you trim down as much as you can to get day-to-day expenses down to make it more appealing to the person buying and leaving openings for whoever the next buyer could be to come in and insert their own people, production, studios, graphics, whatever it may be. All of these departments would be redundant under a new management company. And while I don't have anything that I could say, hey, next week they're going to announce this $11 billion deal with NBC Universal, this continues to track with where I think things have been moving. And if anything, this maybe I think has sped up when I think that could be happening. And in the back of my head, all through the pandemic, I've thought to myself, I think Vince wanted to do this a year and a half ago or a year ago. But why would somebody spend $9 or $11 billion on anything during a pandemic when you have no idea what's going on? I think that they got pushed back. And I think that's also why we've seen a real hold in creative as everything has just kind of been, put on the level. So anyway, that's my bigger, broader thought on all this.
Most certainly. And as I was looking at Deadline, for our wrestling fans watching right now that don't follow Deadline, Deadline's kind of like a dirt sheet for the entertainment business. And the top headline on Deadline today is that Amazon Prime Video bought MGM's library for $8.25 billion. So if Prime is buying MGM, there are some other services looking to make a splash. So, Nick, I think you're right on this.
Yeah, you look at the Turner Discovery, and I mean, those were already kind of, I think, under the same umbrella, right? But they were just also trying to take care of redundancies, right? They're going to get everything in line over with Turner. And so it's all happening very, very quickly. The money is flowing right now with these kinds of deals. And I don't think it's out of the question. We see, Vince McMahon starts off SummerSlam, welcomes back the fans, and, maybe he has some big news. Samantha QT, I could see Stephanie or Shane going for that. Sure. I think that the McMahon family with Hunter would stay on board, kind of like how Dana White came over after the UFC sale, is still the figurehead and president. What a deal that guy got. But everybody else is up for grabs. Seems like Kevin Dunn is safe. I think Bruce has got himself in almost like an untouchable type position right now. But everybody else, man, is touchable, I think, right now in the WWE bubble, unfortunately. Anthony Y, with Vic gone, I feel they need a fresh face, a new face on the commentary team. I wouldn't mind AJ Kirsch being added to the Raw announce team, or even an independent wrestler and manager like Prince Nana. Man, Prince Nana is great. I'm not going to sit here and say no to Prince Nana or AJ. I don't really know enough about AJ. I like non.
I think we need more minority voices, to be honest. I think there is a tremendous lack of representation on wrestling right now in minority voices, and Adnan Virk gave us, some hope, and then there it was. It's gone.
The problem for Raw is they need a play-by-play guy, right? They got Graves is the best color. Graves is a very, very good color, man. You don't need to do anything with him. Byron exists. Yeah. Byron is there largely to exist and be Byron Saxton. No knock. But they need a play-by, and that's a harder role. That's a way harder role, man. Having done both, like, color's fun. You jump in there. The other guy calls it. You sell. You talk about why a hold hurts. You talk about how aggressive somebody is. You give a little background on them. That's fun stuff. Play-by-play, man. You got to call these moves. You call a move wrong, everybody's on you like a pack of dogs. It's a very difficult position.
It is so hard, and you have to have an encyclopedia of knowledge of not only every move, but also all of the stories that each wrestler is telling, and then also how all of this gels together in terms of the greater context of the program. And then I'm sure you also have to plug whatever's on Twitter, the next ad, Mountain Dew, whatever. How do you keep track of it? I think AEW does it real well by having Tony Schiavone do the ads for them and all the promo stuff.
Hey, and Braddock has been screaming here in the commentary or in the comments, is Todd Gresham coming to WWE as Rod commentary? I don't believe so, but I could be wrong. I just don't believe so.
He's been there before.
I don't see Josh Matthews coming back. Kevin Kelly would actually be not bad in that role.
He would be awesome, but I don't think that they have a great relationship.
I know, but that's why, like, again, I go back to, like, where's the pipeline? Like, where are you pulling commentators from in the wrestling business? New Japan is on hold right now. They lost their champion. They have multiple COVID things. That whole roster is ready to, everybody attached to that is ready to, especially the Americans are looking to make money. I would call Kevin Kelly and just figure out, how do we make some money here? That guy,
he's so good.
Him and Graves would be awesome together. Would be incredible together.
Kevin Kelly, I was a little bit more of a Kevin Kelly fan than a Michael Cole fan when I was younger. I loved when Kevin Kelly sat in for Jim Ross. I thought he really had that Jim Ross vibe. He loves wrestling, and I know Michael Cole loves wrestling too. But there's just something a little bit more unassuming and about Kevin Kelly that I just love. I don't know. I love that guy.
I see some people here in the comment section saying that Joey Styles would be really good. Look,
yeah.
Joey's done with the business. Like, I actually talked to Joey a little bit after he left, and we kind of had we're not I don't know that we have no relationship. We haven't talked in a while, but he's very happy with his outside gig, and I definitely got the vibe not thirsting to come back to pro wrestling. So I would play that one down. I don't see Joey coming back.
And then maybe they could throw a bunch of money at Daniel Cormier.
And look, again, though, it's like, dude doesn't have experience calling pro wrestling on TV. That is so hard to find people that can do that job well. Where is the pipeline?
Yeah.
Where is that pipeline? Non-existent. All right. Couple items here before we get to Rich. Then we'll talk Mark Henry in the mailbag. Former WWE champion CM Punk trolling veteran WWE superstar John Cena in his new Twitter bio. He changed his Twitter bio and wrote, "Taiwan is a country." John Cena, man, do you think that he did more damage to himself trying to do damage control? I'm starting to get that vibe, man.
It's hard when you're the face of a movie franchise like Fast 9, and especially when the United States doesn't have all their movie theaters open. So China's really where they're going to be making their money. He has so much responsibility to everybody that works on Fast 9.
Right.
And so, I feel bad for him because, man, he is caught in such a terrible position. Of course, John Cena thinks that Taiwan is a country, but he can't say anything because he needs to help all of the people that he worked with on Fast 9. It's just part of the deal, man. And look, it all comes down to every $1 million man. Everyone's got a price. Everyone's got to pay. And John Cena, he's got to do what he's got to do to help his movie franchise.
I get that, but I mean, it's still a little gross that like the entire
Yeah.
like American entertainment business basically has to kiss the ring of a like murderous regime, right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
ridiculous. Um,
It does feel bad, but people have been kissing our ring for a real long time.
I guess it's next. I mean, it read like a hostage video. That's why I ask.
It was.
Yeah. I mean, it looked like a hostage video when he released that. I'm
Was.
very, very sorry. I have made a mistake, right? He's got a black eye. Look, reason I say is, has he done more damage? Because his base, I mean, he's been so pro-America. I mean, he's done campaigns and stuff like that. I just, in the wrestling connection, obviously, I just wonder if he's doing more harm to, I wonder if the fans will, in America, not, I don't know that he warms himself up to them with this, I guess is what I'm saying. Even if he had to do it, I don't know if this affects his relationship with the North American fans. You don't think so?
I think this does hurt his relationship a little bit, but man, he's on every commercial and he's in every movie. He's earned a lot of goodwill. I think John can bounce back from this. But yeah, it looked like a hostage video. That was tough.
All right, lastly here before we get to Rich, the post Double or Nothing edition of AEW Dynamite on TNT scheduled to air next Friday. The TNT schedule currently lists next week's Dynamite episode for Friday, June 4th at 10 p.m. Eastern instead of the usual Wednesday night time slot. The change was made due to the NBA playoffs airing on TNT. This week's Double or Nothing go-home edition of Dynamite will also air this Friday night at 10 p.m. Eastern due to the playoffs airing on Wednesday. So no Dynamite tonight, 2 weeks in a row on Friday night. Very inconvenient timing. Do you think this affects their pay-per-view? What effects do you see coming out of the fact that they bumped her twice in a row?
I think this will affect the pay-per-view. I'm getting flashbacks to the Westminster Dog Show for years and years with Raw getting preempted by it. It's hard to get hyped for this pay-per-view right now. I'm not sure if I'm seeing the buzz. I'm certainly not feeling the buzz for this upcoming AEW pay-per-view. What's the money match? What's the big draw? I know that the title match should be the big draw, but I don't know. Right now, it's hard to get excited. And with Dynamite getting postponed to Friday night at 10 p.m. Eastern?
Right after SmackDown.
Which will be a future time for that new program that they're going to have.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. This is tough.
All right. Well, that'll bring us to the end of the show. Brian, thank you for talking all the news of the day with me. Thank you to Rich Bikini, our guest today. We will dive into the comments section here and read some of your thoughts before we wrap up the show today. But let's dive into the mailbag here at WInc Daily, WINC Daily. That's the account to follow. If you want to vote in our daily polls, leave a comment, find out when new episodes go up, really anything, go follow us over at WInc Daily. Today's mailbag question comes because of the following news item. Mark Henry continuing to slim down. The world's strongest man has taken to Twitter to reveal he is now closing in on his weight loss goal, receiving congratulations from former colleagues for his accomplishment. 20 pounds to go, he tweeted, while also posting a photo of himself at his new weight, and he is looking trim. In an interview with Booker T on the Hall of Fame podcast in April, he revealed he had lost nearly 80 pounds while preparing for a potential return to the ring. My question today to everybody: where do you want to see Mark Henry wrestle next, which we'll get to here in just a moment. But, man, he's looking great, man. He's looking ready for like a whole another main roster run right now.
Yeah, I've never seen Mark Henry this fit before. He looks great. He used to be the world's strongest man, but now he looks like he's got his cardio up. Yeah. So this is really cool.
Yeah, I want to see a Mark Henry that can move, man. I'm interested.
Yeah, and I also love seeing Mark Henry when he's feeling it, when he's really going, like during his Hall of Pain run. That was so awesome. I love that. I even loved his little brief feud with John Cena, where he almost retired and then didn't. I thought that was so great.
Yeah, that salmon-colored jacket, man. The options I put up here were WWE main roster, NXT, AEW, or something else. Over about 150 votes here in the last hour. 43.6 main roster, 22.1 NXT, 25.7 AEW, and 8.6 some other write-in. Man, I voted NXT just because I think the idea of Mark Henry going down and working with some of that talent down there, like he's trimmed down, he's 50, he wants to just get in like a couple more banger matches. A Mark Henry NXT run, I think, would just be a lot of fun.
I would love that. That would be so much fun. And just to see Mark Henry in front of a crowd again, really, working them and having fun. I don't know. It's just, I like Mark Henry. A Royal Rumble return would be pretty great.
Yeah, for sure. That's a layup. At Ross Speaker here in main roster with Bobby Lashley. Yeah, him and Bobby would be really fun right now.
It could create some tension with MVP.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I could see that working well. I'm not against a run there with Bobby and Mark. We also have from WWE Hard with Walter. So I'm guessing he's just saying he just wants to watch Mark Henry wrestle Walter.
Man, that would be fun. I would love to see that. Who doesn't love big meaty men slapping meat?
At Earl Bennett, why not NXT just to keep things interesting? Isn't he already in a mentoring role anyway? Bring him on as a scripted producer. Give him a wrestler beef with him that spills into a match at NXT. And I don't know that he's in a producer role at the moment. I know he's working down with SWE in Texas, kind of in a management position. He's helping to craft talent down there. I'm not really sure what Mark's day-to-day is with WWE. I don't really know that he's working as a producer at the moment.
It doesn't seem like it. He's very involved in his Busted Open radio show. It seems like he's got a pretty fulfilling life doing all that stuff.
Well, let me dive in over here. Let's see. We'll start here with Drew P98 1984. I would love to see Mark Henry in NXT because he would help some of the younger talent like Bronson Reed. Yeah, Bronson Reed was actually the person I was thinking of when I thought of Mark Henry down there. It'd be so great to watch those two guys work together.
I've been really enjoying Bronson Reed and seeing his growth on NXT. He's one of the bright spots of that program.
I'll throw up Phil too. Graves is overrated on commentary. Disagree. Joe and McAfee way better, but man, yeah, seeing all this turnover, how do you let Samoa Joe go? Like, what happened there, man? Like in the ring, on whatever, man. You give him a camera, I'm sure he'd film the thing. Probably better than most of the people there.
Yeah, letting Samoa Joe go it shows that somebody doesn't understand what's going on over there.
Yeah. All right. Well, we want to thank you all so much for tuning in. That'll bring us to the end of the show here today. Again, in about 20 minutes, if you're watching us live, 1 p.m. Eastern, we are going to premiere my conversation with Rich Bikini. Go check that out. Great deep dive into the process of how WWE prepares its commentators for the main roster. I think you guys will really enjoy that one. Tomorrow, if you come on back, I'll be joined by Pollo Del Mar, Paul Pratt. And we will also have the full audio from the AEW media call with Cody Rhodes, which is actually happening tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern. We're not going to be able to live stream it, but as soon as it's over, I'll have the audio. We'll put it over on the audio feed for the Wrestling Inc. Daily. That'll be our audio interview segment for tomorrow. So come on back tomorrow for Cody Rhodes. I'll be in Jacksonville this weekend covering his match with Anthony Ogogo and everything else going on at Double or Nothing. And if you like the Wrestling Inc. Daily, support us on all our social media channels and the Wrestling Inc. social media channels, and listen to the Wrestling Inc. podcast Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Fridays, weekends after pay-per-views, also over on all the major podcast platforms. All right, Brian, what do you want to put over here to wrap up the show today?
I mean, I think WWE should hire you as the commentator for Raw, and I think I'm looking forward to seeing you on the program.
Hey, man, I really appreciate that. I want to really stress, I don't see that happening. But I really appreciate that. Start your hashtag campaigns. Nick for Raw. Raw is Nick. Whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
I support the campaign. And by the way, DGen UK. Hey, Nick, longtime listener from the UK. First time being able to join live. Hey, dude, you made it right at the end. Come in an hour earlier tomorrow and jump in the chat room. Let's have some fun. And yeah, so anyway, you plugged everything. You're good? You happy?
Yeah, follow me on Twitter, and I'll talk more about how much I think Nick should be the lead commentator on Raw.
All right, cool. Follow me on Twitter to find dog photos, videos, me and my dog.
Which is so adorable.
Thank you. I am Nick _Hausman over on Twitter. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I'll talk to you tomorrow. And remember, if you winked, you didn't miss it.